Welcome to CVE Deep Dive Uniview preauth RCE. In this advisory by SSD, we find out how a vulnerability in multiple Uniview devices allowed remote unauthenticated attackers to trigger remote code execution vulnerability in the products that are offered by the company. And this vulnerability was found by an independent security researcher who has reported this bypass to the ssd-secure-disclosure program. Let's have a look first what products Uniview is producing and which were affected by this vulnerability. We're seeing some cameras over here that can be mounted on the outside or the inside of buildings or households in order to monitor what is going on. We're seeing the IP-C6222EI camera over here, which is an indoor network PTC dome camera. If we look at the Uniview security notice of this buffer overflow vulnerability, we do see that it got a CVSS score of 8.9 looking at the base score. Now let's have a look at the evaluated risk by the company. So they were saying that in order to exploit this vulnerability, an attacker must have access to UDP port 7788, otherwise the attack is impossible. So check if this port is exposed directly to the internet, which would then give a potential attacker the ability to attack the device from the internet. If the device is on a router or firewall, the router or firewall will not automatically map the port. It is not open by default. So in other words, if you don't expose this port by yourself, you're not vulnerable, but still the product was vulnerable to this buffer overflow. But let's look into the vulnerability analysis a little more. The researcher has used unpack, binwalk, and ubdump on the vulnerable firmware downloaded by Uniview. Doing that, you can see that program bin maintain listens on UDP port 7788. If opening Ghidra, you will find a function looking like this. To reach the vulnerable location and redirect execution, you will need to implement the custom TLV-based protocol that this code is using. Let's have a look at the exploit for a second. We're going to quickly skim over it in this video. The exploit will smash the stack and spawn a telnet daemon on the camera. You can then telnet in as root with password 123456. Keep in mind that the password for the telnet daemon is not changed when changing in the web UI. You will land in a restricted shell in a UV shell. To break out of the restricted shell, you can use the echo command in the UV shell that allows file writes but only inside /temp. You can then override /temp bin kill watchdog.sh, which gets called from program bin reboot.sh when executing update -tftp/all from the UV shell. And that was actually it for today's episode of CVE Deep Dive. Make sure to check out all other SSD advisories and also check out all other CVE Deep Dive videos on YouTube. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Give this video a like, and I will see you next time.